Okay, so we're talking to Vicky Nguyen. She's an investigative reporter at the NBC station in the Bay Area. That's KNTV. And hi, Vicky. It's been a little while. How you doing?
It's been a long time. I'm doing great. It was nice catching up with you offline before this interview.
Exactly. So let me get to the question I have for you here. A lot of PR people, a lot of businesses, they want to get as much attention as they can get. They want to be on all the TV stations if possible. They want to be on the internet and the papers and stuff like that. So give me a sense of how important it is to people like you to have an exclusive, to be the only one doing the story, and you don't want to see the same story on another station.
For me, in my current role as an investigative reporter, exclusivity is fundamental. The kinds of stories that we do, we want to break them and we want others to follow and we want to own the story. So the types of stories I do typically aren't going to be pitched to me by a PR person or a business. That said, I did a lot of work in GA, a lot of work in special projects, which are those feature stories that oftentimes a well-written press release is going to get my attention. If that's the case, I still want ownership of that story, but if it's an interesting, juicy enough story, odds are my producers are still going to want it. Now, they're not going to want it if it's stale, if it's already been out there and everyone's been talking about it for days and days. But if it's coming out and I can turn it that day, and I know other stations are going to turn it, that's not going to be as big of a problem, really.
Considering what you just said, how well right now do you think PR professionals and businesses who are pitching stories, how well do they get what you just said?
You know, I think it's a really tough job for PR folks who have never been on this side because they're trying to sell me something, but they've never been in my shoes, so they don't always know and haven't always done their homework about what appeals to me. As an investigative reporter, I'm not going to do this story about vaginal rejuvenation.
I didn't expect to hear that during this, but thank you. Go ahead.
You're welcome, Keith. I always love to give you a little something extra.
Thank you. We may have to edit that out, but go ahead.
So, no, that was really a pitch. I get plastic surgery pitches. I get pitches about children's toys, about ice cream makers. I'm not a consumer reporter. I'm not a features products reporter. So when I get those pitches, clearly I know that person hasn't done their homework. They don't know what I do, and that kind of goes right into the spam box or the trash box. But if I get a pitch about distracted driving and there is an expert locally in my area and there's a factoid in there, or, you know, perhaps they've done some additional homework and found a family in the Bay Area who's been affected by this, well, then I might be interested because that is a story that has appeal to me in my beat. So I don't know that PR people always get it. They may kind of take a one-size-fits-all approach because they just want to blitz the market. But sometimes I think you don't want to work harder in a mass quantity. You want to work smarter and more focused and target your pitch because that's going to make it more effective.
Well, when I was a special projects reporter, I remember once someone pitching me a fashion show in Los Angeles. And so obviously they had the wrong city and the wrong topic. Some people, though, laugh at this concept of the exclusive banner we see on the TV. Mm-hmm. They joke, what do you think? There are people at home watching 5 television sets at once and they really know that this was already over here. And no one's ever said to me that our ratings are higher because we do more exclusive stories. So I'm curious if this concept of being competitive, exclusive, is this really a false sense of competitiveness? Is this kind of old school journalism that's not really necessary? Is it silly to any extent?
I think viewers have become so much savvier and, quite frankly, jaded. So when they see exclusive, it doesn't necessarily have the cachet that it once did because exclusive is thrown around so much. In fact, in our newsroom, there's a very conscious effort about when we say that, when we use it, and is it exclusive because no one else wanted it, or is it exclusive because we managed to dig up something, the first interview, the first time someone's speaking out, uncovering something that everyone was clamoring to get. Well, in that case, sure, I think exclusive is justified and your viewer appreciates it because it means something. And if you do that consistently, then they come to you and they know that if you're going to throw that out, it does mean something. So I think viewers are savvier. I think exclusive does retain some power, but we have to be really careful about how we use it so that it doesn't lose that effectiveness.
So to wrap this up, if I'm a business or a PR pro after listening to us, what's the most important thing I just learned from you?
I think that the blog posts that you have really truly on your website, when you are dissecting some of the press releases and talking about what makes them effective and what makes them not effective, really pretty required reading. I would like to know how to get better. If that's my goal, to pitch a story and get it on a television station, I want to hear it from the people on the other side, what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong.
Okay, Vicky Nguyen, KNTV, NBC in the Bay Area. Did we cover it all? Anything you want to add?
It's been a pleasure to be on, and I hope I provided some useful tips. And I hope if anyone has an investigative tip in the Bay Area, they'll send it my way.
They know how to reach you?
Sure, I'm on Twitter at Vicky D. Nguyen, which is VICKYDNGUYEN, the Smith of Vietnamese last names.
Vicky, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Keith. A pleasure.